Hello everybody, Mitzi Cruz here, host of Lincoln Live. Today we are live with Sam Lloyd with Antelope Hills Pest Control. And first of all, I just actually want to take care of a housekeeping item really quickly before we get started. And that is that we are hosting our annual school supply drive at my office. The location is 570 5th Street. Lincoln. We are located in the back of the suite. So if you just walk right in the front door, go all the way to the back, we've got a huge box and we are collecting school supplies for local foster children as well as some local nonprofit organizations that take care of families in our community in need. So I know a lot of you bring donations each and every year. We appreciate that. So specifically this year, the biggest need is backpacks, but depending on what you're able to contribute, we appreciate everything. Great opportunity to show your kids, how they can give back even in a small way or a large way, depending on what you guys are able to do. We certainly do appreciate that. So come on in, make sure you leave your name because this year we're doing a raffle for a gift card for dinner for your family. So we want to make sure that we credit you with your donation, no matter how big or small. So thank you so much for letting me get that out of the way.
No problem. It sounds like a good cause.
It's great. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with it each and every year. So
awesome.
Yeah. So Sam, I want to thank you first of all for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Me specifically, I've grown up in the area since 2000. Before that, we were in Alberta, so just about 20 minutes away. Graduated Lincoln High in class of '08. And been doing the college thing for a while, came back a while ago to help with the business, and that's the short version.
Well, so tell us about Antelope Hills Pest Control. How long has the business been family operated, run, all of those things?
We've been in business since 1995, and my dad was the one who started the company. And since then, it has been run by him up until 2009, basically. He was still helping out, but he had actually gotten diagnosed with a heart condition in 2009, and really couldn't continue working. And so from that point, actually, my mother took over, who had no intention of being a bug lady, but she took over and has been running the business since that point. And fully took over in 2010 when my father passed away. And she's been running it ever since then and doing a wonderful job. And so most of the people that know our company are fans of my mother, probably more than anything. She's the bug lady that most people know her as. So.
And she's actually out on a job right now, is that right?
Yep, she's trying to get out of town for a family vacation with the girls. The girls are going on a trip, and she couldn't afford to take off time, so she had me come in her place to represent the company.
Oh, that's wonderful. And what's your mom's name? We want to give her a shout out.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's Jana. Jana's my mother.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. She sounds like an incredible woman.
She's pretty hardworking, pretty awesome. So.
Yeah. Awesome. And can you tell us how you got your name or how Antelope Hills got the name?
So the name, my mother would like me to tell you that the name came from their first house that they were intending to buy over in the Antelope area. It was right off of Antelope Hills Drive. And so because that was where their first home was going to be, they thought that would be a good name for the company. That's my mom's story. My dad's story was always a little more nonchalant, that on his way to the office of naming the company, that he didn't have an idea, and he drove by the Antelope Hills apartments and was like, that'll work, and said that would be the name for the company. So they argued a little bit about which one was the true story, but either way, it came to be Antelope Hills.
Well, we love to hear stories, and so it's interesting hearing either way, sounds like memorable.
Well, and that's where actually it's a fun dynamic as to how the company got started, too, because my father actually started the company, like I said, but he started the company as a push from my mother because they were recently married they were married in '88, and I was their firstborn. Mm-hmm. So my mom was pregnant with me. Setting the tone, the earthquake in San Francisco had just happened, so a lot of damage had happened down there. My dad still had his motorcycle, and he and his brother decided it would be fun to go down to the Bay Area and check it out one day. Uh-huh. So he skipped out on work and went down there. He comes home sunburnt and all these different things, and my mom put the clues together and was like, where were you all day? And got on his case a little bit, and basically from there said, you need to go get a job. This baby's on his way in December, so we need something a little more consistent coming in. Mm-hmm. And actually from that point is when my dad started searching around and then got into the pest control industry. Obviously not starting off owning a company. He worked for a couple of companies for a few years, and then in 95 started the company afterwards. Wow. So you could say in a way that me and my mom together started the company in a certain way, but ultimately it was my dad's efforts that got it going and got us to where we are.
Gotcha. So what did your dad do prior to?
Prior to, he came from a family of salesmen, so he did a lot of things that revolved around sales work. He had done carpet cleaning, he had done sales for different companies and stuff, so he had sort of floated around a few different jobs and never really settled on something solid.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So a whole different arena, but similar in the sense of selling your products and services, right? Mm-hmm.
I would say that my dad, the common thing that he learned from his dad and then just growing up and doing the different industries that translated into pest control was just his attitude that give the customer more than they expect every time.
That's right.
And if you do that, then you'll be okay. And so he wasn't so oriented about knowing how to run a business in the sense of books and marketing and all that kind of stuff, but he did know that if you take care of the customer, then you'll figure it out from there.
That's right. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So talk to us about the company itself. How many trucks do you have, employees?
We are very small, still very small. It is just my truck and my mom's truck. So if you ever see us, it's one of the two of us driving around. Every now and then you'll see probably one of my sisters driving along with us when they want to come out and earn a little bit of extra cash in between school, or if they're just home and they want to ride around with us. So, but either way, you'll know which one of us it is because on the side of our truck we put a little thing that not as many people notice, but it'll say either Bugman Jr. or the Bug Lady on the side, so that way you know whose truck it is.
Gotcha.
But yep, we only have 2 trucks, and me and my mom are the main technicians, and my sisters have helped out with the bookwork as they've come back from school and things, and in between semesters. And then we have a couple of friends that help us with the bookwork at the end of the year for taxes and different things. But
sure.
Really, it just is the 3 or 4 of us.
Got it. And you guys stay pretty busy, I imagine.
Yes. My mom has her side of the company where she's been well established for years, and she has kept the company at a good status quo for many years, especially ever since my father passed away. But then in the last year, I've come back and am very much interested in helping her grow the business. And so I've come back with my expertise in a few different things. And one of the things was actually changing the logo and getting things updated and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I would love to thank Lincoln and the surrounding areas, because actually I went on Good Neighbors of Lincoln and in the initial stages posted about, hey, this is some of the ideas we're having. And actually some of the advice that was given online was very key in us coming up with the logo that we have now and the look of our company. So yeah,
I love that. I mean, Lincoln is so collaborative, no matter what it is that you're looking to accomplish, we all grow together. So, you've heard the saying, a rising tide rises all ships. And I really feel like this community is just so conducive of growing businesses and really, keeping everything local, which is the premise of this show. So
yeah, and I was actually very surprised because when I put my initial design up, it was very rough. So I was glad that not too many people were harsh, but from there I was very caught back actually by how many people were commenting and saying, oh, do this, and oh, think about this color maybe, or think about this thing. And I mean, there were hundreds of comments about what we should do, and not all the comments made it through, but they all played a part in getting us to think a little bit more about it. And it was very cool to then have the end product be able to say that it came as a community project, not just a solo project.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yep.
So talk to us about the services that you offer and what types of pests you are specifically able to help with.
Go after.
Yeah.
So we do general pest control. So we do everything from ants to spiders to roaches to rodents. So anything that a customer needs from the interior to the exterior of their home, we can help them out with. Obviously within the regulations that California will allow us to do. and the state or the federal government. But we cover most of the South Placer area and the Sacramento County area. And we don't do termite work as far as inspections and things like that. But we do have some local companies that we refer out to for that kind of work. So yeah, that's the gist of it. But we help with pretty much anything you need help with other than termites.
So okay, so you're not doing termite inspections or treatment at this time?
Nope, that's not something we're into at this point. But like I said, with me coming back to the company, there are some things that in the coming years we are going to do, and that is one of them. Is eventually we will do termite inspections and also termite work. But at this point, just keeping us slow and steady growing, not something we're going to do at this point. That's
great, and that's really the way to do it. You don't want to just jump in too much too quickly, because you get so crazy.
And we've got a lot of good base here, and so we're very confident in what we've started here, and we've done really well with it so far. So we want to keep that growing, of course, doing what we know, but eventually starting to grow with new trends and new things that are happening and what people like and don't like, and definitely want to cater to the communities as far as what they would have us do.
Gotcha. So you and I were talking a little bit offline. My family and I just moved to the Lakeside community a little over a year ago, and one thing that I noticed is a big trend over there, maybe because it's former farmland, not sure, but is flies. So flies, especially this time of year, they are crazy. And so I have used another pest control company to go ahead and address that, but it didn't even make a dent. So I know you and I were talking offline. You had a lot of great ideas that weren't presented to me by that other company. So what I'm wondering is if you can share, because I know that I'm not the only homeowner that's dealing with that.
So the thing with flies and the thing with pest control in general that I'll answer first is that there are a lot of different ways to attack the same situation. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of factors that go into why you have a problem. Taking any situation, flies for the example, it's not just that the flies are harboring in your home necessarily. They could be in your neighbor's yard. They could be down the street, different factors. So first locating where the problem is a big part. Then from there, determining what kind of bug you've got. And you would think flies are all the same. They're annoying, shoo fly, don't bother me kind of thing. But actually there's quite a few species that we have in the area. So identifying the species then will also determine where we're looking for where they're located and different factors of how to get rid of them. And so as far as getting rid of them, there's a multiplicative of ways you could say to get rid of them. Without seeing the situation first and identifying those factors, it's hard to say. But I would say in general, some of the big things are moisture in your yard is one of the things. So helping to make sure you don't have a ton of moisture in your yard. Any kind of loose garbage, and then watching yourself and your neighbors as far as if you can control things like dog poop in the yard and all those other things that are more obvious for where flies would gravitate towards. But there's a lot of control factors that we can do before we even try and do any pest control as far as chemicals go. So I don't know if that completely answers the question, but I hope that gives a little bit more lead into that. I think there's a lot of companies in the area doing a lot of good service. I don't think we're the only ones that do a good service. And sometimes it just takes a little more investigation to get it right on the money. So.
Yeah, well, and I love that. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head there, because I feel like just in having the conversation, and really just drilling down to what type of species you're dealing with, what are the factors contributing to I mean, they're everywhere in my backyard. You can walk through the grass and you can just see them swarming. It's just crazy. So, really figuring that out.
And I would say this year especially, bugs have been crazy. And there's actually a website that I like to use called Pest World. And they do a forecast every 6 months about what the pests are going to be like in certain areas of the country. Well, not certain areas, all over the country. It's just specifically what you're going to have. And one of the things that they did in, I think it was March or April, was their next forecast. And they forecasted for the entire U.S. and talked about how basically, because of all the water we had throughout the U.S. this year, and especially in this area, between that and then the fluctuation of heat that we had at the beginning of summer, caused a lot of populations of bugs to rise.
Gotcha.
Just because there were things that they could feed on more, they had a better water source and different things like that. So there are things that our company, and I'm sure other companies have seen this year that we've never seen before. Just as far as some of the weird habits changing with some of the bugs, or just going into places they normally wouldn't go because there's so many of them. So you're not alone in that, not just with flies, but roaches and spiders and things. A lot of people are calling us for those, or wasps.
Yeah.
It's just because the populations rose this year because of a lot of water.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's those kinds of things that sometimes we don't think about that actually play a huge role in what's happening with the pests.
Well, it makes sense. It's that big picture thinking for sure. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, you tell me.
Well, I was just going to say, so you've watched the show before. You know, we're very interactive, and we always encourage audience participation, questions, comments. So it looks like Sabina is acknowledging that there's some comments, questions.
So talk to us a little bit about the chemicals you guys use. Are they pet-friendly, kid-friendly?
So the chemicals that we use are regulated by the state and the federal government. So one of the things I try to tell people is that in this state especially, most companies are using very, very safe chemicals. Well, not most companies, all companies, just because of the regulations we have in California. So that's just a starting base. From there, specifically our chemicals, we actually pay a little bit more. It's a very, comparatively to other chemicals, expensive chemical. And one of the things I've done my research on to find out is actually it just makes it not significantly, but just that much more safe for kids and pets, just by the way that it breaks down in the metabolic structure in mammals versus insects. So that's the short version of saying that. I could go into the chemical composition and all that, but I don't think many people would want to hear that.
And then the areas you guys service. I know you'd mentioned Placer County.
So we service mainly the South Placer area. We don't go farther than Auburn, is generally the farthest we go up north. And then we service all of Sacramento County. Those are the two areas that we focus on right now. In previous years, we have serviced Yuba County and others, but for the time being, we're trying to keep it tight-knit. And then eventually we are going to start growing out into El Dorado County and Yuba County and stuff again.
Okay. And what's the scheduling like? Like how long does it take to get you guys out there?
So it depends on when they call in. If you call in at the beginning of the week or you catch me on a good day, sometimes you can get me that day. I will come out. I try to make sure that we can get out there as fast as we can. But I would say the slowest that you would get us is within a few days, usually. But that being said, some customers like to push it out a week or two because they want to plan because of work and stuff. But as far as if you're wanting us out there fast, the slowest you'll get us out there is a couple to a few days.
So one of the things that you had mentioned in regards to, taking care of the client and just really making that the main focus of what you're doing, that really struck me, especially because we always want to keep our money local. We want to support local business, but, it also has to be something that makes sense, right, for our families, and that we're spending our dollars wisely. So talk to us about, maybe give us a story or something that comes to mind where, you can share with us a time you took really great care of a customer.
Well, I would say that this summer has been the story of stories, just because, like I said, we have seen so many fun things that we've never seen before, as far as just the amount of them and where they're at and stuff. I had one of our customers that we've had for years. She moved to a new house in Rockland, and when she moved into this new house, I went up there to start it up, and in that home, well, not in the home, it was on the home, she had pretty much a black widow in every eave of her house.
Oh my goodness.
So almost every single one. And knowing black widows and their behavior, that's very strange to see that many black widows in a home. And so obviously something she wanted to take care of. I wish I would have had a really good camera on me, because then I would have been videoing it and showing people, but I tried doing it with my iPhone and it just didn't do it justice to see all these black widows and those spider webs and stuff.
Sure.
But anyway, after the first treatment, she didn't really have any problems with them. Spiders are generally relatively easy to get under control. And so did the service, and she hasn't had a real problem with them since. Now, that being said, she's probably seen a spider here and there.
Sure.
Not saying that they're completely gone, but she definitely does not have a black widow in every eve now.
Yeah, no, that's great. So she and her family are safe and protected.
Yep. And we've already done, I think, 1 or 2 services following that, and it stayed pretty clean on her home.
Oh, good.
So the chemical is a residual chemical, so it lasts for quite a while. And what I tell customers is the potency of the chemical lasts a lot longer than the food supply of the chemical, in my mind, lasts. And what I mean by that is the more bugs that are rubbing over it and the more bugs that are eating it, so to speak, are taking away the chemical. So that makes the chemical potency not as much of a factor because it'll be taken away that much quicker.
Got it.
So, but that being said, most of our customers see good results within the first 1 or 2 services.
So I know I had seen a post on Good Neighbors, I don't know, a couple months back about those big, I don't know, I've heard them referred to as June bugs. I like that a lot better than cockroaches.
Sure.
But then those big cockroaches that you see, especially in the downtown area. So, you know, and I've heard there's really nothing to do to get rid of them. Talk to us about those.
So I'm not sure which one you're talking about. We have a few species in this area that could be referenced right now. So depending on the one would depend on what we would need to do. But more than likely what you're talking about, if it's a cockroach, is an American roach. And American roaches are the biggest ones we have in this area as far as size. And they are generally associated with more water-based communities as far as sewers and drains and all that kind of stuff. Not saying that they're the only one that'll go near that, but that's sort of their signature thing, that they like to be around water a lot. And so as far as taking care of them goes, in years past, the cities and counties have done a really good job of taking care of the sewers and treating them and stuff like that. But it becomes harder to treat those sewer systems as we're trying to be mindful of not having spill off into where fish go. And we don't want to make sure we do our best to make sure that they're not being harmed. So I'm not sure what they've done this year, but we have actually, that's probably the most common call I've gotten this year for new customers has been roaches. Between roaches and a few other things, but I would say 75% of the people that have been calling in have been with some kind of a roach problem. So to put some people's mind at ease, it's not necessarily because you're a filthy person or because you've got some indication that you're not doing something right. Like I said, this year has just been weird with the increase of water and possibly some things with the county as far as how they've been treating the sewer systems differently this year. I'm not sure. But the short answer is yes, you can get them under control. The longer answer is that it takes a lot on the customer's part to make sure that it does a really well job as far as treating for that.
Got it.
Roaches especially are something where the immediate thing that we're talking to a customer about is sanitation. And when I say sanitation, again, emphasizing that it doesn't mean you're a dirty person. It just may mean that we need to go through the cupboards or we need to do some certain things to clean up a little bit more harshly than normal. Because now that they're at your house, we want to make you less attractive to them. And so those are some things that we'll do, but there are going to be other higher steps that we can take to get rid of them if we need to, after just a generic spray and just some general cleanliness things.
Okay, my skin is thoroughly crawling right now, so let's talk about the raffle prize.
Sure, absolutely. So what we're going to do, I think I talked to you about maybe, do you remember what we talked about? I can't remember.
Sabina's my scheduler.
I can't remember. What did we decide?
You said you would do 1 or 2 service, or let me just look up my message.
Well, you know what? I'll just make a decision then right here. So what we'll do is we'll do 1 free service with a sign up of regular service for somebody for the raffle if they would like that. So your initial service would be free. And then I will do 2 people that will get half off their first service.
Oh,
Does
great.
that sound good?
Yeah, so a total of...
That's what you said.
3, yeah.
So 2 half off and 1 completely free service.
Perfect.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So for you guys watching, if you haven't watched before, and if you have, you should know the drill. You just share this live video by tomorrow at noon. You're going to comment, share it in the comments below. That way we know that you share. Due to privacy restrictions, we don't always see your shares, and then we'll get you counted into the raffle. Sounds like this week we're going to have 3 lucky winners, so we'll go ahead and announce those. But again, share by noon tomorrow, and then you'll be entered into the raffle. And it looks like we might have another question. No? Okay. All right. So, Sam, was there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to mention, or?
No, actually. I mean, most customers, the 2 most common questions I'm getting is about price, and then about it being kid or pet friendly, or the 2 most common questions I get. So I guess we didn't go over price. So I guess the only thing I would say about price is that we try to be competitive. And it is based on the size of your home and the frequency of how often you would like us to come out. Just putting this out there, that my experience has been that most customers fall under an every other month frequency is the best choice. Most of the time, I would say every month is excessive for a customer's home. Not that it's not necessary ever, but most of the time I would say every other month seems to be a good sweet spot for the chemicals that we use. And some will extend it past that, but like I said, frequency-wise, most people it's about every other month, and like I said, we try to keep our company prices low as far as in relative competition.
Got it. And then you had already answered the question regarding kid and pet friendly, right?
Yep, like I said, it based on the way that the chemical that I use on the interior and exterior, most of the time, there are other chemicals we'll have to use if there are increased problems like an roach infestation, or for rodents, or for different things like that. But the general chemical that we're using on your home for preventative and for getting rid of ants and spiders and all that kind of stuff is very kid and pet friendly. Now, I will never say safe. I will never ever say safe, just because it's a chemical. But it's still, that being said, as far as the design of the chemical, it's a very, very comparatively safer chemical.
Gotcha.
So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been extremely informative, and I love to support local business. I know a lot of our viewers do as well. So if somebody is interested in getting a quote on a one-time or an ongoing service, how do they reach you?
They can reach us by calling in directly to our office, so 916-645-9292. They can contact us on Facebook. I get a lot of people doing that. Through our website, they can send us a message or email, antelopehillspest@gmail.com. But yeah, that's it. And one misconception. We are a Lincoln-based company.
Yes.
I know a lot of people, I don't know if I've made that clear, but my mother really wanted to keep Antelope Hills for the nostalgia reason. I tried to convince her to change it, but she really wanted to keep Antelope Hills as our name. So we are Lincoln-based. It does confuse a lot of people, but we are a Lincoln-based company.
Gotcha.
So.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, like I said, it's been a pleasure, and I thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing all the shares and getting you guys all entered into the raffle. And thanks in advance for any school supply donations as well. You guys have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks.